two of our themes from last year that we're not abandoning for this year, but our two main themes last year were growth and gratitude. And growth because of the, the physical space that we're building out this new space. We're, we're adding jewelry lines, we're adding team members. Yeah, we had a lot of growth going on. It's going on, but we also had to have the gratitude component of what was the effort of whether it was my parents or the people who started the company 35 years ago. Yeah, we got to be grateful for the whole history to also get to where our growth is taking us.
Matt Woolley Podcast.
All right. Thank you for joining us today at the Matt Woolley Podcast. Please like and subscribe. Today I have a very special guest, the one, the only, Lynn Blakeman.
That's quite the flattering intro there, Matt. But
yeah, and as I give you the intro, I figure out a way to adjust my seat.
But it is a treat to be here today. So thank you for including me on your podcast.
It's great. It's great, dude. I've known you for many years, and obviously a lot of people in Northwest know you and the Blakeman's brand because you guys have been a staple for quite some time. So what we always do here is we kind of run through a resume, first things first.
Yeah.
But your resume is pretty short.
Yeah.
You're a pretty straight shooter.
Yeah.
So we all know that Ben Blakeman went to the U of A.
Yeah.
And I remember you from those times, very little though, because it's a very blurry time for many of us. And you have basically, taken in, running the show for Blakeman's. Your dad's the patriarch of Blakeman's Jewelers. Yep. So let's talk about who is Ben. So where did Ben grow up?
Okay. So I was born in St. Louis.
Is that right?
Yeah. But after I was about 2 months old, is when my family decided to move to Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, wow. So you've been here.
So basically been
since
here. I consider myself Arkansan and Northwest Arkansas through and through.
So is your family from St. Louis, all of them originally?
My family is all originally from upstate New York, which a lot of people don't know that. But it is almost by chance that we ended up in Arkansas. But I am so proud and so grateful to be from Arkansas.
Yeah.
And so my family moved to the great state and to the city of Fayetteville in 1985. And then Blakeman's officially launched and was founded by my mom and dad in April of 1987.
Awesome. So quite the legacy there.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how much you want to get into the history. So how does your family, what's the history there of making their way from New York to St. Louis to Northwest Arkansas? What was the drive there? You don't normally hear it. You usually hear here to there, but not necessarily there to here unless Walmart brings you.
Yeah, no, this was far from that.
Okay.
So my dad, leading up to moving to St. Louis, and in St. Louis was a diamond road salesman. He worked for National Diamond Company.
Awesome.
And one of the guys in the old school suits, old school cars, cruising his region.
Huge.
And at that time, Northwest Arkansas was part of his region. So he had part of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And after several years of being on the road nonstop, I was the second child. They decided that they wanted him and my dad to, kind of step back off the road at least full time and give it a go at retail.
That's awesome.
And so in 1987, they relocated to Fayetteville, Arkansas. My dad thought a town with the university backing was a good kind of framework.
Yeah.
He had also looked at Wichita, Kansas, and then even though there is no university, Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
And so thankfully he chose Fayetteville, and now here we are still to this day in beautiful Northwest Arkansas.
That's great. Did he have a vibe for what was to come. You talk to some of the old schoolers. Now, I'm obviously a transplant. Anybody can tell that by my accents. Or most people can. Would you be surprised that somebody thought I was from Tennessee the other day?
Coming into this, I was actually going to mention to you, you have a very distinct, famous voice. I don't want to give you as much credit as saying the McConaughey effect.
That is what everybody...
However, you do have a little bit of that McConaughey effect that, but you also have you've got the face for TV and the voice, not just the voice for radio.
Gosh, so you're gonna have to get
podcasting.
You're gonna have to. Well, I honestly think, as one of my mentors says, I have a face for radio, but you're gonna give me the big head, man. You to pop the balloon. So thank you for that. Here's what's funny. Used to, I growing up, I didn't know any different because this has always been me. Yeah, I came up here in 2002, and the accent's waned a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still there. Yeah. It's not as thick. And so I think that maybe where people think that I'm from somewhere like Tennessee or something like that.
Not as thick, still pretty thick.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. I've learned to own it because like here's what's funny. Before caller ID was the thing for sure. I could make a phone call and everybody knew who was calling. Yeah, you know what I mean. And it's a southern twangy tenory voice. It is distinct. Now how good that is, I don't know. But I'm going to take it as a compliment. Yeah. but yeah, I'm from Southern. I'm from L.A.
Yeah, I knew that.
And anyhow, I came here in 2002, and now I thought I'd come to the land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
But talk to some of these old schoolers, and maybe you can give me some insight as far as your dad's mentality and your mom's mentality. I mean, did they have any inkling that it would become what it became or has become?
Back then, no. It was their focus was getting off the road. Yeah, and that's awesome. And they didn't want the big market like St. Louis. They were familiar enough with Fayetteville because my dad traveled through here selling diamonds at the time as well, and then decided it was the right place to build a home.
So when did you know that you were going to have a passion for the same trade? Because, there are families that set up, businesses, and it's every, father's dream to, have somebody take the reins. Yeah. I mean, did you kind of always have in your head that that's what you were going to do?
Not necessarily. Really? I mean, they're my dad, Don, and I, we are very similar. There is a lot of like father.
I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. I can see it.
There's a lot of like father, like son, just in kind of whether it's mannerisms, attitude, look out on life, etc. Yeah. But one great thing about our family business and how I came to the family business, there was never any expectation and there was never any pressure.
That's great.
I'm beyond grateful for what my parents built in our team from the early stages, and I was obviously always around it. I mean, I literally remember, even though to this day I am a horrendous artist, I remember being like kindergarten, first grade, and my mom had me like draw pieces of jewelry and they'd put it in the jewelry case. Then when I'm like 8, I remember walking around cleaning the glass from fingerprints.
That's awesome, dude.
So I was always around it, but it was never expected and never forced whatsoever. But just naturally kind of having the sales intuition and the personable attitude and mindset just kind of naturally led me there. But my first job in retail was Houndstooth Clothing Company. The T-shirt kiosk in Northwest Arkansas.
Isn't that right?
So I was 16 years old, folding T-shirts and selling T-shirts.
You got to start selling.
And I absolutely loved it.
That's awesome.
I loved it. Yeah. And so,
were you a good salesman? Did you sell a lot of T-shirts?
I did my best. I mean, at 16, I was a little unsure and uncertain, and they probably could have hired more qualified. But even at 16, they took a chance on me, and I
That's awesome.
just watched and learned and had fun, and even with the T-shirts.
That's great. That's great. I think it's I think it's great too, and I don't know if it's because the right hiring manager or good Lord's direction or a mixture of things, but I always love hearing stories about sales guys first getting into sales positions because it's kind of I honestly think that it sets a precedent for the future, and it eases you into being a better salesperson later on. I can talk to a tree if I think it's listening.
Yeah.
And my first job, my true first really involved job, I worked a few others, but was waiting tables.
Yeah.
And, there's three things you don't get in front of. That's somebody's family, it's somebody's money, or somebody's food.
Yeah.
And you're doing all three. And with different personality types. And that's what happens whenever you're in retail, too, is because you have to be conscious of that dynamic. There's some guys I'm sure and you tell me if I'm wrong, would come into your shop and they're not like a extroverted guy like me.
Yeah.
You got to know who you can really, get nuts with in a conversation and take it easy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did that first job kind of help give you an indicator for that, kind of ease you into that? Or
Just even, the general people skills, but also for sales too. Granted, I was selling $15, $30 T-shirts, not high-end jewelry.
Right.
But, trying to upsell someone from one T-shirt to two, it's all, it's all the same.
It's relative. Yeah. So your dad was a natural salesman, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have same personality type? Do you think you picked up anything from him?
Yes, and I think one of my favorite attributes of my dad that I do my best to carry on with is his authenticity. Mm-hmm. So not necessarily like a salesmanship or a technique or even a quote, but just his genuine authenticity. And everyone can see it, and everyone knows it, and everyone knows him by that.
He seemed very relational.
Yes, definitely.
And you've always been very relational.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. But I think just the authenticity. Just be genuine, be kind, be fair, and treat others how you want to be treated.
Absolutely. That's harder for some.
No doubt. But he taught me that from a very early age. I remember being in elementary school, and then I was an uncle at the age of 10, and even seeing my nieces young and talking to them. Just even at the early age, you would always be like, hey, if there's a kid at lunch that if no one's sitting with them or her, or if somebody's being picked on or someone's not being talked to, like be that person to lend a hand, lend a ear, lend a
step in,
a compliment, whatever it may be. Yeah. And that even translated into the retail world, now professionally.
No, that's great. It can be, I'll tell you, it can be very, in that field, let's be honest. And let me ask, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Do you ever have people come into your shop and you sense intimidation from them? In the sense of, because they're surrounded by a lot of expensive things, and this is moving towards a positive that I want to, tell everybody about you. But, years and years ago, I bought a watch for my wife, a beautiful watch. But going in there, because you guys have established such a classy but yet inviting environment, but very classy. You guys have been very tasteful. With what you guys do.
Thank you.
And even and we'll have to talk about this here in a minute, but even your temporary shop, it's freaking gorgeous. But the beauty is so overwhelming, and there's so many wonderful things in there. I can tell you there's been times I come in and it's like, man, I don't know if I can, afford anything when I was younger.
Yeah.
But you guys have a wide selection. And not once I started talking to your stuff, not once did I ever feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between Blakeman's and K Jewelers.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with K Jewelers, but nothing wrong with it. But you guys have such a nice selection, and everybody is so helpful and knowledgeable, and that speaks to the culture that you guys have created there.
Well, thank you very much. I do, so with your question, I take it to me, like when I go into a car dealership, I'm intimidated. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know details about the engine and the horsepower and this and that. So someone who is unfamiliar with jewelry, whether they've done their Google research or not, or their buddy from the gym that's telling them, well, make sure and look at this, that, it can be intimidating. Certainly. We sell expensive things. And we're not for everyone, but we're always going to be transparent, and we're always going to take the opportunity to educate as well, and not just educate on the four C's or like the science behind everything, but just educate on why. So why is this bracelet $4,000? Why isn't it $400? We're going to have that conversation. We're not going to shy away from it. We're going to embrace it. And we're going to educate you and hope you feel like you are deserved of whatever you've come in to purchase or view.
Yeah, it's great. Every time I've been in there, it's been such a great experience. And
we are human. So
I know.
We make, I want to hear about the good and the bad. Right. Thankfully, for the most part, I do hear a lot more of the good than the bad. We are all human, and so we can have our moments.
Well, if it's any consolation, I have never heard anything bad murmured about Blakeman.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's get into, because all I know is I know beauty and I know brand.
Yeah.
That's what I know, and that's probably most of what your 99% of your clientele is. But let's get into the science, if you will. So, do some education. I'm not asking you to pull out the whiteboard here. But educate us on somebody that's looking for a quality piece of jewelry. What are the key indicators that they're looking for, and I'm just digging for information.
No,
I'm so fascinated, but I know so very little.
Yeah,
and I bet most people know very little, other than it's a beautiful piece and it's made by So I know, and you have very skilled people too in your staff. You do have an Olympic gold medalist on staff.
That is true. Bronze. Sorry.
I'm sorry, dude.
Still,
my bad.
Yes.
I've only had the pleasure of meeting him once, but I know Isabel. I know Isabel very well.
Yeah.
So.
No, so I mean, with our team, I feel like we've done a good job of getting unique but also thorough backgrounds for kind of each department within our store. We are also unique in the area as far as the brands and what we have to offer. So whether someone is coming in for the first time looking at an engagement ring, has never seen a diamond, never held a diamond, they're coming in for their first time to look at a watch, whether it's a Blakeman's watch for $200 or the first time looking at a Rolex. In general, we're going to have someone there that can walk them through kind of A to Z. Here is what it is, here's why, and go from there. But your mention of Dominic, our medalist, so he's actually from Switzerland. And is a certified watchmaker as well. And so his vast knowledge of timepieces.
I don't know. One time I got engaged with him for like 10 minutes, and I was like, dude, I can't keep up with this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's very thorough.
No, he is. And so not only he, but we've got Bert, who's been with our team for over 30 years as well. And he was a big part in forming our initial relationship with Rolex. But so when you come in, you get that experience and you get the information and the knowledge the history, the product, the benefits, all of the above.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite brands? I know you probably enjoy just a plethora, but do you have any particular?
So
brands?
yes, on the brands, but I'd like to start with my favorite interaction is at the bridal and engagement counter.
Is that right?
And especially a young couple that has never been into a jewelry store, has never looked at a diamond or anything like that. What I like to say is, if they've made it to our counter, they've done the hard part, they found each other. And thank you for coming to us to allow us the expertise and opportunity to put together that symbol of what you two have built together.
That's awesome.
And so we're able to talk to them about diamonds, talk to them about style, talk to them about value. Today it's much different than it was in my dad's time, for sure, much different than it was when I started.
How so?
18 years ago, just especially with the digital age and Pinterest and Google and all of that. So
I got you. A lot of influence.
This even 20 years ago, but certainly 30 years ago, more times than not, a gentleman would come in by himself, say, I'm looking to surprise my significant other. Here's what I like. Here's how much I can spend. Here we go.
That feels dangerous.
Correct. But that's how it was for forever. That's how it was for forever. But now, more times than not, the couple comes in together, or someone will come by themselves, but they will have a Pinterest board of 350 photos of inspiration. So it's on us and our team to be ahead of the game on that. So do we have everything for everyone? Certainly not. But we've got to be up to date on trends, on styles. We've got to have the knowledge and the know-how to get people the right size, the right shape, the right thing, also at the right price. And so we're always going to be more than competitive, but most importantly, we want them from that first interaction at Blakeman's to know that not only are we educated in where they should shop, but we want them for life.
That's fantastic.
Not just that first.
Yes.
So
you don't want the one and dones.
correct. Not for us. Not for us.
Okay, so as far as there's a lot of people that like just like anywhere else, custom shop. Custom shop.
Yep.
So tell me about the Blakeman's custom shop.
So we have gone from having one bench jeweler to 3 bench jewelers, which is kind of our behind the scenes, you could say. So it's both a service department and a custom department. And one thing that we are continuing to grow on, and what I see as a standout and differentiator for our business going forward, is we want to encourage customers or new people to Blakeman's. We want them to build their love with Blakeman's, and so keep making that a custom piece focus. So whether it's an engagement ring, most common, or birthday, anniversary, or just because, whether, necklace, bracelet, anything, but we want to speak to and we want to encourage people to build their love with Blakeman's. Let us build that special piece and let us all celebrate together.
What is the greatest, I keep hearing a continual and all the things as you're saying, it sounds like there's, obviously, we've talked about already, you're a relational guy.
Yeah.
It seems to be just a continual passion for people and creating joy through your trade.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the greatest reward for you?
By far. And that's not only with the end customer, but within our team. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing our team feel successful and individuals feel successful. And then when we can report back to our supplier or designer that whatever they provided to us was also such a hit to the end consumer, they don't hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And so when we can not only have that joy in that moment with the end customer, but with our team, and if we didn't supply it, whoever did, then everyone's part of it. And it's a ton of fun. That's awesome.
That's great. Are you like, so something just hit me as you're saying this. So at Design Steins, we do a lot of, it's retail based.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of packaging, displays, and different online content, that sort of thing. Sometimes you're out and about, and whether in your Walmart or Target or Sam's Club, whatever, you kind of see your work all of a sudden. Oh yeah, we did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So especially, and that's very broad based for what we do, but as long as Blakeman's has been around, I mean, are you ever out and about and run into somebody who's like, I remember when we gave them that piece?
Almost daily. So, yes. And I love it, and we love it.
That's
and
great.
It never gets old. I never get tired of hearing the stories.
That's awesome.
We love what we do year round, but especially at the holidays, being Christmas mainly. When someone comes in and they say, I remember 30 years ago when I bought my first piece from Don or Loretta or Bert back at the Northwest Arkansas Mall. And now that is their 30th Christmas in a row that they are coming back into Blakeman's. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's
that person's been supporting us or that family,
It's a
and now
testament.
the next generation. And so I don't know how many we have now that it's been every Christmas for 30 years, but we see a lot of that. And,
Any
and
idea
I love
on
hearing that.
any idea on how many pieces you guys have sold over the years, from watches to rings to necklaces? Not even any.
That is,
I would be
I will
interested.
try to get back to you on that.
That would be very interesting.
I will try to get back to you on
I'm
that.
weird about numbers like that. I was talking to a guy that said that he's always had a good sales average and blah, 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 and he'd been doing it for 30 years. I was like, I wonder how many.
Yeah.
And, that's always, because here's what I think. I mean, when it comes to jewelry, it's a deep and meaningful thing
absolutely.
for a lot of people. And, those are legacy items, because the reality is that ring that you sell or that beautiful necklace that you sell, it's not stopping. That's not going to stop with, and this is another thought, we're just getting into it. It's coming to me, Ben. It's not going to stop with that person.
Right.
Because that wife becomes, a grandmother.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, grandmother gives it to
Exactly right.
You actually are creating infinite pieces to a degree.
Yeah.
Because nobody throws away jewelry.
No, certainly not.
That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
very much.
They're gonna the items that you have put into place are gonna far outlive you.
Go by far.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Amazing. 500 years from now, if the Earth's still turning, they may be like, I wonder where they got this beautiful piece.
Yeah. And hopefully there's still the little Blakeman's bee inside there. No, but regularly we are kind of sorting through and identifying and assisting families with heirloom jewelry, whether it's from us or not. I mean, that's on the regular.
That's awesome.
So we appreciate that symbolism, and whether the jewelry was originally purchased from us or not, we want it to be in its best shape for
So you guys do a lot of maintenance for
ton. Yes, yes.
Really?
So
what does that entail? So give us examples.
yeah, so we've got a certified appraiser on staff. I'm also a certified gemologist as well. And so for something like that, if someone has a collection of jewelry, generally heirlooms or from an auction or whatever it may be, we're always happy to kind of sort through it initially, talk through the pieces, explain in our professional opinion what can, what should, what needs to be done, and then they can tell us what they want from there, whether they want us to actually appraise it for the value, they want us to repair it so they can wear it daily, if it's got visible wear and tear and they just want it to be a special occasion piece, we will let them know and encourage them to save it only for a special occasion.
You lose or break this.
But whether it's Blakeman's or not, we want everyone's jewelry in the best shape it can be. We want it to look its best, feel its best, etc. So like every day, every single person that comes into Blakeman's, we offer to check and clean their jewelry.
Well, I know you guys
And that's what
did a phenomenal job. Dominic fixed one of my timepieces.
Yeah.
Got it all fixed up and looked brand new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
He's the best.
Yeah. So you said an interesting word, Mr. Blakeman.
Oh.
You said gemologist.
Yeah.
So what is a gemologist for those that don't know what a gemologist is?
So I have received my graduate degree from the Gemology Institute of America in both diamonds and colored stones.
Okay,
So that's
are you like the guy from the movies that there's like
something like that.
this is a this is a phone.
It can be, yes.
Can you tell? Can you tell stuff like that with the naked eye?
Not always, but a lot of the time, yes.
What's an indicator?
A lot of
or do you have to have a keen eye to know what you're looking for?
keen eye, definitely. But a lot of it can be just like heft, even just the like holding it, like whether like if it's a
Really, that is so micro fine. You can just tell.
Yeah. And then the faceting will be different depending on
Structural integrity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else? What
So,
else can you
I mean, most of the time I will use a loop or a microscope to
to get down
double
to it.
check and, and check it all out. But sometimes, like, the people have brought in
I was gonna ask.
like old colored stones that, like, their great-grandmother had, right? And it's their understanding that it's this incredible ruby. Sometimes it is, but not always. And usually when, like, an older colored gemstone, especially like that, looks so perfect, it is too perfect and is not then necessarily what they think.
If it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So, what's that conversation like? I bring in my great grandma's, ruby ring, and it's supposed to be from, King Edward III. court.
We are hopeful that it is. We're hopeful that it is, and it's rare that it's not what they think.
What's the reaction when it isn't though? Is it like
we're gonna
where they're like,
we're gonna look and identify everything in front of the person and just say our professional opinion is this.
Gotcha.
And just kind of leave it there.
Yeah, that's got to be a letdown. I never really thought about that. You see all these guys, the different TV shows that bring in something that is supposedly historic or has as relevant.
But that's so most of our days are spent celebrating life's wonderful moments, and mostly new jewelry or repaired jewelry.
Ben Blakeman, are you a man of positivity?
I like to think so.
I believe so. The reason why I've noticed you always, and this is ever since I've known you, and again, we aren't best friends, but we've seen each other and
a lot.
And have a lot of common acquaintances as well.
Yeah,
and you always seem to beam optimism.
Yeah,
and whenever there's a conversation of any sort of inkling of negativity, you always bring it back to a positive spot. Is that a natural you, or is that something that you have just honed over the years? Are you naturally a guy that the glass is half full?
I don't. Now I think you're causing me to overthink that about myself.
You shouldn't overthink that. Well, if that's the case, then it's genuine.
That's
just genuine. That's great. Well,
I would just rather, whether it's a a person, an opportunity, or more importantly, a problem.
Right.
Like, let's find the positive in it.
That's great.
They dwell on
That's great. You see,
the
that's great.
opposite.
That's great. It's
I don't want to frown. I don't want you frowning in front of me. Like, let's smile. Let's smile together.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's such a great characteristic.
Well,
It really is.
thank you,
Well,
but I have never
You've never even
thought about that as you just asked me to think about that. But
Really?
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Well, no, that's I'm not here to speak any type of negativity either in stating that. It's like you're just a super energetic, positive guy. Like I've never seen a circumstance where you're like, I'm sure you have it. Everybody has.
We all have our moments.
We all
but-
have our moments, but just as a whole,
it's general, and it's also, for the most part, how I was raised too, and
yeah,
where and what I surround myself with.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
From family to team to personal relationships. So let's be
great.
positive.
That's great. So that's a great segue. So you're a business owner, entrepreneur, right? And we all know, who we surround ourselves rubs off on us.
Absolutely.
So sounds like you're very, what's the word I'm looking for? It sounds like you focus on being with people that are uplifting and push the positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what about Ben Blakeman's mentors? Who's your greatest mentor?
Like actual mentor that I meet with regularly is Steve Graves.
Okay.
And not only has he been an incredible mentor for me professionally, but my personal life is in a better place, with his guidance and leadership, and for sure our business and just where I am mentally and physically, business wise, and then also as a team, he's been incredible.
That's fantastic.
And so we've worked together for a couple of years now, and hope to continue the path together for at least a couple more years to come. But I would just say naturally too, my dad was an obvious mentor for me, especially when I did officially join the family business and started young and on the sales floor and marketing and cleaning and doing whatever to really coming under his mentorship to see how he led and how he, made the operation go.
Sounds like you've always had a good mentorship in place. Did you always realize it was good mentorship?
Yeah.
Really?
We always, I could not be more grateful for how I was brought into the family business and how I was mentored in the family business. Did we agree on everything? Absolutely not. But there was not one instance that was just like a complete
this isn't going to work
mess or disaster. It was just always, let's figure this out.
That's great.
Let's be calm. Let's be thoughtful, and let's see what happens here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, there's another thing that pops out in my head, the legacy. So obviously, your mom and dad put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, yes.
Now, aren't they living, is it Florida?
Yep.
They're in Florida?
Yeah, they retired to Florida almost 6 years ago now.
Yeah. Oh, has it been 6 years already?
Crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
So was it hard for your dad? Because here, I've seen this happen. Everybody has that baby. They bring the baby. I'm talking about the business.
No, I know. I know.
And they have that baby.
Yeah.
They bring it up.
Yeah.
They get it to a point. They like how things move a certain way.
Yeah.
And then there's, the handoff. Was the handoff easy?
You are going to love this.
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
So my parents go to Florida to where they're now retired. They went, so this would have been like 7 years ago. They go for a month. They went the month of January, so that was kind of an opportunity for myself and the team, all right, here's a month with my parents gone. Let's see how this goes. We're still there. But they got back and they did not love Florida. They did not love their experience. They weren't quite sure about it.
Really?
Then they decided to go back the following year for 2 months after saying they didn't love it. Well, this time they did love it.
Really?
So they get back. This would have been, they went January and February. And like right after Valentine's, I was sitting at our desk in the main office. And my dad just walks in and he said, "Hey, your mom and I are moving to Florida. We'll be gone in about a month." And I was like,
What?
Okay. And that was it. That was it. Then he walked around to the team at the store and said, "Hey, Lynn and I are headed to Florida."
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So there was no
no warning.
No warning. There was no like big ceremony. There was not even a meal. It was just, when their minds are made up, their minds are made up.
We're out.
And that's truly that's how it happened.
Well, that speaks to the confidence of you and the team, though.
No, definitely.
It's
Definitely.
like, they've got this. Let's just do our thing.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of glorious.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's beautiful.
You know what? It's time.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was it. But it also, I've made that sound a little more flippant. Like it wasn't flippant, but it was just.
No, it was it was time.
Yeah.
There was that's what it was. They got down there and they probably, and it takes a lot out of you. Owning a business takes a lot out of you.
And
people
did it for so long.
And people,
and did an amazing job, and they got what their team was at the time. Amazing job there, and got us in place to continue to build the team out to where we have it.
They worked hard, and now they get to enjoy the fruits of the labor.
I'm thrilled for them to.
That's great.
Be in Florida and love Florida.
How often do you see them?
We try to see each other 4 to 6 times a year.
Oh, that's good.
So I went down there a few times when they first moved. More recently, they've been coming back, but it's a good balance. I try to get to Florida a little bit. They like to get back to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So we are having our grand opening of the reimagined Blakeman's February 7th weekend. And so my parents will be up here to celebrate that night, and
that's fantastic.
And
so
enjoy the movement.
Let's talk about that. So everybody knows, it's been at that location for a long time.
Yeah, so we were the first building kind of in that whole area. It was the first stage of Embassy Suites in Blakeman's.
And where did y'all move?
And that was it. We're the Fayetteville Mall.
Yeah.
But down to Village on the Creeks to Pinnacle, there was nothing else around us.
Yeah.
And then, thankfully, Mrs. Hunt and the Hunt Group developed and built everything around us.
No, that's where we feel lucky at the Einsteins. The Blakemans and all the area. What's the name of that building? I can't remember. The World Trade Center building and all that. That was there. The KNWA building was there, and we moved into the Unilever Kimberly Clark building and Mrs. Hunt's building. Other than that, nothing else. And we had no idea retail land was going to build up around.
Unbelievable.
It's just huge.
We love
it. Absolutely. Us too. Yeah. It's a great place to be. We're in the hot spot. We were in the hot spot before it was the hot spot.
Yeah, this is true.
So you guys have been in that building for quite some time. Mm-hmm. You're undergoing a renovation. Let's talk through that, because your temporary store. What did you call it? What was the
Blakeman's pop-up?
The pop-up.
Yeah.
That was. It's beautiful.
It was so fun. It was a wonderful temporary home, but we are now back in Blakeman's.
So is it finished?
It's open.
It's open.
We're ready to go. We moved back in December 20th, right on time for Christmas, the new year. But we're a soft opening till first weekend of February.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know you guys are excited. What's the? Is there anything we can expect from the new store?
There's a lot, but first, just kind of back to the pop-up space. So we had Alex Bodeshbaugh, Alex King, and then Miss Anna Cottrell help us with the design and implement,
It's
build
absolutely
out and all of that. And to think that we could go from our regular store down to 1,500 square feet as we build out and finish the 9,000 square feet of our remodel, I would have never dreamt it to be so fun and so successful and just such a great environment.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was a little space for a lot of team, and everyone loved it, customers included.
First class, yeah. When I came in a little bit before Christmas, I was just mesmerized. It was truly was a work of art.
Yeah.
And it was very comfortable space and very inviting, great color.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So I can only anticipate that the renovation.
The renovated Blakeman's is not green like our pop-up, but it is beautiful. And so we've got a couple of larger branded areas. Our new featured Rolex section is just beautiful and elegant and comfortable, which it just feels good to be in there. And it's about 1,500 square feet just for Rolex.
Oh, wow.
So that's a large footprint in our renovated space. And then we've got designated areas for Tudor watch, for Omega watches, as well as the David Yurman brand.
That's awesome.
And then general showcasing and kind of a more private diamond and bridal salon area.
That's awesome. Can't wait to see it.
Can't wait to show you.
It's gonna be
You got to come over.
I'm gonna. I know it's
Give
gonna
you a
be
tour.
gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Rolex, I have to ask this question. You guys have always had a great selection of new and used pieces, all beautiful. So in comparison, that is expanded in, is what you're saying.
Definitely.
Oh, that's great.
Definitely.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And, the shout out to Blakeman's too for, being marketing gurus. You guys are all over. I can't go 2 miles without seeing a Blakeman's advertisement.
We do a lot. We do a lot, but it's thoughtful as well.
Yeah,
we don't.
it's always timeless.
We don't just throw
Do a good job. Very elegant.
throw our stuff out. But no, our team does an amazing job of kind of navigating that.
Yeah.
And being where we are, and like being the official jeweler of the Razorbacks. There is no other team. There is no other, kind of opportunity like that. And so that's why we've zeroed in on supporting the Razorbacks, for so many years now as being the official partner.
That's
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that really resonates with you, being obviously a U of A grad.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about real quick. We've got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's get into the entrepreneurship. That one thing we like to do on this podcast is just talk about, because a lot of guys I have are very business oriented. They're guys that either led big teams for big corporations or entrepreneurial mindset. So
You've had some incredible guests in here, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm flattered to have received a text from you to come participate. So.
The honor's all mine. I'm telling you, I've wanted to do this podcast for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I could just never, the reason why I could never really just bust into it is because, honestly, part of it was time.
Yeah.
And part of it was the space. I was using every inch of our space, to do business. You know? When Eric put this studio together,
This is so cool.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you for the compliment. Hey, I'm very blessed. All these people that you've seen so far, I'm blessed to say that I know and have a relationship with them. And, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because I know so many people that are just great human beings that have so much value.
Yeah.
And what I try to do here is, provide content that brings value. There's a lot of, and this, I say this a lot on the podcast, and I'm going to sound a little bit like a grumpy old man,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of influencers out there,
Yeah.
but not all of them are preaching the truth.
Yeah.
A lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of them tell people what they want to hear.
It makes all the sense.
Yeah. And so, that being said, when it comes to leading a team, you've said that you're one of your biggest motivator is them and their happiness. How do you sustain that culture? It's like when you're vetting somebody to come on to your team, how do you ensure, as we like to say at Design Science, that you're not letting a snake in the barn?
Yeah, totally. It's a process, and there, with growth, there is wonderful, success, accolades, dollars, whatever comes with it, but also issues. It's more team members, it's more mouths to feed, it's more just different views, mindsets, whatever it may be. So we just a difference with our team than some other places that I've been, or when friends of mine in the industry or other industries are talking, it's just with our team, buy-in is huge, and everyone cares, and it's a differentiator. And it takes some time for someone to jump on board and kind of see that, learn that, get behind it. But if that doesn't happen, then we realize that, and it's not the right fit. And we'll see. But our team as a whole just has the faith and belief in each other and what we're trying to do for the greater community and for our customers. It's a full team effort.
Sounds like you have a team that likes to keep that momentum rolling.
Yes.
If that buy-in's there, they're not really going to let anybody else stand in the way. You get in, you get on board, you get out.
Yeah. Our two of our themes from last year that we're not abandoning for this year, but our two main themes last year were growth and gratitude. And growth because of the physical space that we're building out this new space. We're we're adding jewelry lines, we're adding team members. We had a lot of growth going on, but we also had to have the gratitude component of what was the effort of, whether it was my parents or the people who started the company 30 years, 35 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it may be, our customers. We got to be grateful for the whole history to also get to where our growth is taking us.
That's fantastic.
And so we'll see what the themes are coming ahead for this year. I've got some in my mind, but I'll save that for another time.
That's great. Well, I hope you'll come back again.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So one last question. We've got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word gratitude.
Yeah.
So what is Ben Blakeman's heart grateful for?
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds and feels very deep. I just felt that. But I would say within this last year especially, I feel more comfortable in my own skin than I may ever have.
That's great.
And so I've got a now fiance.
That's awesome. Congratulations. What's the lucky lady's name?
Delila.
Oh, man.
So, so we got engaged back in early November. It's not a secret, but we also haven't put it out there. But here we go. But just
breaking news.
But just from that personal relationship and her support and her love, and whether it's business or not, like I can say anything, I can be anything, I can do anything, and she's there. And so that's given me strength with the team and with their belief in me as well. And so I've seen and felt that. And so that would be my point of strength in the gratitude realm right now.
My gosh, that's a fantastic answer.
Yeah.
And that's just wonderful. Congratulations,
no, thank you.
friend. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more positive and better way to end this podcast.
This has been a treat. I hope I didn't ramble too much. But
absolutely. The pleasure's all mine, good sir. And I appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll do it again.
Yeah. No, I'd love, if there's more to talk about or you want to hear,
you got it.
Let's do it.
Ben, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it, man.